So let's just say, guys, it was quite the roller coaster ride last week for Palantir stock, for the entire stock market, and we have to break it down in this video. I want to go over Palantir, the charts, what I'm looking to do, where my head's at, and if we have time later in the video, we'll break down some other stocks. But first, hit the like button. Do not forget to subscribe and follow along for more content, and join the free email stock newsletter where I send out my top stocks and a quick write-up every single week for free. That is linked down below. Put your first name and your email address, and boom, you're in there. And with that being said, cheers. Let's dive into it. So, like I said, it was quite the roller coaster ride, not just yesterday on Friday, but the entire week. I mean, we had a crazy historic week again in the stock market. What else is new with the trade war, China, the US, tariffs, the 90-day pause? There's been a lot going on, and Palantir went down on the day, believe it or not, yesterday. Not a crazy red day. In fact, we only went down 4 cents on Palantir, but the entire stock market was green. You guys saw that by now. The Russell went up 1.5%. The S&P went up 1.8%. Same with QQQ. And the Dow went up around 1.5% as well. Same with the Russell, right? And you would have thought Palantir would have had a great day considering all the indexes were up. But again, it didn't. It went down a little bit, and earlier in the morning on Friday, we were down to the mid-80s. So we were actually down on the day, a decent amount there, and then we rallied into close, which was good. We got to about $88.50 by close on Friday, and I mean, this chart right here, the 5-day, 5-minute, shows you how even though we had a pretty flat day on Thursday and Friday, right, we're still maintaining the highs for Monday and Tuesday as support. And we're actually holding on to a lot of the gains from Wednesday. Wednesday is where we got the 90-day pause on tariffs. They're at 10% now for most countries, right? And we had a huge day for the stock on Wednesday. It got to $93, and then it cooled off a bit on Thursday and Friday, right? But it held a majority of the gains, right? We were at, on Tuesday, we were at $77 to give you guys some perspective at close on Tuesday, and then we rallied all the way to $93. That was a 20% move, and even though we're down $6 from the highs from Thursday, right, $5-6, we're still up around 15% from where we were Tuesday at close. So we had a pretty good week on the stock is what I'm trying to get at, as a lot of stocks did very well this past week, right? Palantir crushed it, and you guys can see we're now consolidating above the highs from earlier last week. We're holding them as support, being $85, $88 in that ballpark, which is a very good sign for the bulls. And on the 30-minute chart, you guys can see we're actually holding the highs not just from earlier last week, but from the week before that as well. Palantir was struggling to break the mid-80s to end off March and in the early days of April, right? And now we held that as support on Thursday and on Friday, and we rallied off of it, and we closed on an upswing on Friday. We closed at $88 per share, right? So the charts look pretty good. We have a golden cross on this 30-minute chart. We're above the moving averages, which I like. And on the 20-day chart, you guys are noticing golden cross above the moving averages as well. And we have an inverse head and shoulders. Take a look here. We have the left shoulder. We have the head right here. The right shoulder's right here. That is starting to form. This is a bullish pattern for PLTR here. And if the market, it all comes down to the indexes, right? If we see more green next week, I think Palantir will start breaking out back to the 90s, $90 plus, and we could start moving aggressively from that point, maybe back towards the highs from the end of March, being about $98, $97 per share. That's where this could be going. And this chart, the 4-hour time frame, looks pretty good as well. We're still in that wedge, though, that we've covered in previous videos. Keep that in mind. We're still in a wedge, making lower highs and higher lows at the same time. But now, heading into next week, well, we're at the top of the wedge. And we've been struggling to break it. Let's be honest, right? You guys are noticing this. So if we start breaking out of, I'd say, $93 to $95, we start clearing out of that point, that would be the breakout spot on Palantir, and from there we could start going back to $98, which again was the high from the end of March. And if that were to break, $100 plus could be coming, but let's not get too excited or too far ahead of ourselves quite yet, considering, guys, newsflash, we're in the midst of a trade war right now. And, the charts look good, right? Technicals look pretty solid, but the reality is these charts could go right out the window in this kind of market that we're in. If the overall stock market crashes again, if we see the trade war continue to escalate, you know what I mean? This could cause this stock to crash. Even though the charts look pretty good, it could cause the stock market to crash. So keep that in mind. We got to take these charts with a grain of salt. But they're not looking bad. Let's just say that. We're not looking too bad. We're moving in the right direction. You could also, see a bull flag here on this 5-day, 5-minute. You'll notice it. Maybe on this 30-minute chart, you might see it even better. That's a bull flag right here. You guys see it. If I zoom in, boom. So it all comes down to what we do at $90 to $93, $95. That's a big resistance on Palantir. And again, all eyes are on the trade war heading into this upcoming week. But hey, what a good day. I guess Palantir didn't do that well on Friday, but the stock market crushed it. Not a bad way to wrap up the week, but keep in mind the indexes are also still in a downtrend, and we're not really breaking out yet. We've covered that in recent updates. We're still trending under this trend line here. And one thing worth mentioning, we do have a cup and handle on SPY and QQQ, but again, with this market, you got to take the charts with a grain of salt. Anything could happen with the trade war, but you guys can see the cup and handle here on SPY. You're noticing that. And on QQQ, let's pull that up. You guys see that? Okay, we got a little double bottom cup and handle action, but again, tread carefully. This is a very risky market that we are in, but hey, a lot of stocks did well on Friday. Like I said, let me run through some of these quickly. We had AMD bounce back nicely, 5.5%. Applied Materials had a nice bounce back day, about 5% for them. Let's see, Visa, we haven't covered Visa in a while. This one went up around 2.7%. Not a bad day for Visa. Let's see what the big tech names did quickly here. Meta went up around, actually down 0.5%. Meta's not looking so great, but who knows? Earnings coming up later this month could maybe turn things around for Meta. We'll see how that looks. And, Meta's not going to be too affected by tariffs, right? I don't think they'll be too affected by tariffs, but we'll see. We'll see based on, forget the earnings, the guidance. That's what you guys have to watch out for from these big companies, what they're guiding out for the next quarter, the next year, and if they're even providing guidance at all. Some of these companies, especially ones that are going to be affected by tariffs, they're not going to provide guidance, which I said this before in a recent video. No guidance is better than bad guidance, So, Google went up 2.5%. Not bad for Google on Friday. Amazon 2%. Apple, which we all know will be affected by tariffs, they went up 4% on Friday, which this thing got down all the way to 168. And guess who was selling out? Warren Buffett. Yes, he cut like half of his stake or whatever the heck. Maybe not half, but he sold a lot of Apple near highs. And I guess he kind of had the idea that when Trump was going to get in office, a trade war was going to spark again with China. And obviously Apple has a lot of exposure to China. And I don't know if that's the real reason why Buffett was getting out of Apple. Who knows? I guess we'll never know. But it has me thinking, and I'm sure you guys are thinking about that as well. So I'll wrap it up here for this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Run the likes up. Don't forget to subscribe. Join the free email stock newsletter as well. I send out my top stocks weekly for free. That is linked down below. Put your first name and your email. I'll see you guys in there. And with that being said, cheers. Have a great rest of your day.